I was gonna say, and hopefully I did these all on the right side of the fabric. But I did not. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess.
Good enough. Okay. Hi, welcome. I've got just a quick little project this week. I was planning something a little more complicated, but I think I'm gonna have to wait until next week to do that one. I just don't have as much time this week. So this room that I'm in is my at-home office, studio, workshop, whatever you want to call it. And I'm still in the process of decorating and making it look the way I want. On this side, I have a nice shelf with lots of cute little knickknacks and things. On this side, I've got a little seating area. But in between, I have this window and it's just got like really basic white curtain and it's kind of boring. So my thought for this week is to make a little banner, bunting, pennant bunting. I don't know, there's so many different words for it. Yeah, so it's going to be just kind of like a string with little triangle flags. I have a bunch of fabric that is kind of left over from another project. I had bought most of this back in 2020 to make fabric face masks out of. So a lot of this is left over from that, but I have some that I bought even longer ago that I haven't used or haven't used all of. But anyways, I have this big stack of pattern cotton, so this is what I'm going to use for the project. I have already measured the width of my window, and between the two curtain rod brackets is about 50 inches. So my thought is to make the little triangle pennants 5 inches and then I'll do 10 of them across. But I'm going to need to cut the fabric a little bit wider, so I think I'll do 6 inches across the top just so that I have enough for seam allowance on either side. And probably an easier way to do this would be to buy bias tape, but I don't have any and I have lots of fabric, so I'm just going to make my own. I've got just this plain kind of minty green, so I think I'm going to use that to make my bias tape with. And then I have a lot of greenish fabrics that are sort of in the same color range. They're not exact, but I can make it work. So I'm thinking I will probably do 5 different fabrics and just do 2 triangles out of each of those. I might have to extend my green here because I don't think I have quite enough. So I've got a bunch that are sort of minty green. I've got this one that has birds and vines and leaves and stuff. This one I've actually had forever. I don't even remember what I originally bought this for, but I've got a little bit of this left. It's got like kind of a shiny purple design on it with brown, but that should work. This one's kind of a more gray green, but I think it'll still work. Got little feathers on it. And then this one's super cute. It's got cactuses and black cats. So that's 4. And then the other one I think I'm going to use, I've got a couple here. Both of these have kind of dark blue backgrounds. This one might actually not work because the print on it's quite big, so I think that might be too much. So I'm going to scrap that one and go with this one. It doesn't really have minty green in it, but there is some green and I think it could work. It's just kind of a pretty floral pattern. I think those will all work relatively well together. And again, just this for bias tape. So I'm going to start by cutting everything out. I'm going to do each flag double-sided. Just do seam, flip it inside out, press it flat, and then I'm not going to bother doing anything with the top edge because that's going to be in my bias tape and you're not going to see it anyways. So I am going to do a bit of math and make myself a pattern and then cut up some fabric.
Okay, welcome to my ironing board. So let's get started on this pattern. So as I said, I'm looking at doing 5 inches across the top for these flags, but because I need a bit of a seam allowance, I'm gonna do 6 inches. And then I would like them to be a little bit longer than they are wide. Let's do maybe 7 in length. And then I'll need this to be 3 inches over. So that's where the bottom needs to be. Drawing straight lines on a soft surface is maybe not the best idea. We'll make it work. Okay, so there's my triangle. Just cut that out, and then that'll be my pattern. Okay, there's my fabric. Because I am planning on doing 10 flags, 2 flags of each fabric, all of them double-sided, I'm gonna need 4 triangles of each of these fabrics. Because these are scraps, I'm gonna have to be somewhat strategic with my placement here. This one in particular is very directional, so I need to make sure that I have these all facing the right way. I don't want upside down cats. Okay, one down. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that because some of these fabrics are not directional, actually most of them aren't, I'm not gonna do what I did with the cats and just do all of the triangles in one direction. So I've just cut out this one here. Because my flag is symmetrical, I'm just gonna flip my pattern upside down and cut out here, just so it's not wasting as much fabric. Okay, so I changed my mind. I've decided to use this fruit fabric instead of this one. I feel like this doesn't go as well. Everything else has kind of like a nature or floral theme, and this is just kind of random pattern. And I also thought that this fabric might feel kind of out of place with being a dark blue, whereas the rest of it's light green. So if I at least have a couple of fabrics that have a dark blue background, I think it'll look more cohesive.
Okay, so I have all of my triangles cut out. All I have left to cut out now is my bias tape from the solid green. This would be easier if I had proper tools. I don't have a rotary cutter and I don't have a ruler that does a 45-degree angle, so I'm gonna kind of just guess on this. But basically my plan is to cut 2-inch wide strips because I'm gonna be folding this in half and then folding the sides up. So there's going to be 4 layers of fabric once it's all kind of ironed together. So that'll give me approximately 1/2 inch of width. And then I need enough length to do the 50 inches across, but then also enough to do loops to go around ends of the curtain rod. Finials? Finials. I'm going to need a few extra inches. I'll maybe do enough to do like 60 or 70 inches, and then I can trim it down if I have extra. So that's my plan of attack.
Okay, this is about the widest point of my fabric, so I'm gonna start there. I really need to upgrade my tools because this would be a lot easier if I had a rotary cutter. Oh, I don't even have tailor's chalk. I really need to order a couple of things. I think for now I'm just gonna do pencil. It's gonna be on the inside anyway, so you're not gonna see the marks. Okay, we'll say that's 45. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. right, and again, I'm wanting this to be about 2 inches wide so that my finished bias tape is about 1/2 inch. So I'll just make a couple of marks at the 2-inch point here. Okay, and then from here I think I can just use the strip I cut as a guide, because using the ruler is kind of a pain in the butt. I'm just gonna square off the ends just to make it easier to sew them together. Okay, now it's time to pull out the sewing machine. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for the bias tape is I'm gonna take 2 of the strips and I'm gonna just clip them at a 90-degree angle. I'm gonna run them through the machine with a straight stitch going diagonally across, clip off the extra, and then when I open it up, I'll have a diagonal seam and a straight piece. So I'm just going to connect all of those pieces together, and then I'm going to go back to the ironing board and press the seams flat. Alright, so I've got my bias tape all stitched together. I'm just going to cut off these little triangles. So I'm just going to take my iron, flatten out these seams. And I was going to say, and hopefully I did these all on the right side of the fabric. But I did not, so I'm gonna have to unpick this one and redo it the other way. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess. Okay, I now have all of my seams on the same side of my fabric. So I'll just flatten this one out and then I will start to fold this. I'm gonna start by folding this in half. Again, making sure that my seams are on the inside. So I'm just gonna go along and iron this in half for the entire length. Okay, so I've got the whole thing ironed in half, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open this up and then fold each side towards the middle and then iron that down. Okay, so my bias tape is all done. I got the sides folded into the center, and then I did a final press just of everything together. So that's all done, and I will put that out of the way until my flags are done. And at this point, I'm just gonna go over all of my pieces with the iron, just because some of them are really folded. A lot of this fabric I've had for a long time. So it's kind of folded and wrinkled and just needs to be pressed before I stitch it together. Okay, so next step, I'm gonna take 2 of my triangles of the same fabric, sandwich them together right sides facing, and then stitch a V, leaving the top open.
that are still washed out. What about this one? Good enough. Okay. Okay, so all of my little flags are stitched together. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off all the loose strings, and then I'm gonna just cut off the very tip and then the corners at the top as well, just so that there is an extra bulk inside when I flip them inside out. And then when I do flip them inside out, what I'm going to do is take a chopstick and just kind of push down the very point so that it has kind of a crisp edge to it and it's not all lumpy and rounded. Yeah, so let's do that.
Okay, so as I said, I'm just gonna trim off the loose threads and then just do a little snip to take off the bottom. Little snips on the corners. And then it can be turned inside out. So just grabbed a chopstick and I'm just gonna push out the very point. Once I've got all of these prepared, then I will just iron them so that they're sitting flat, and then I can assemble everything. So I've finished ironing up all of my little triangles and they're looking so good. I'm very excited to put this thing together. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna have time to assemble this right now. I'm about to leave to go out for dinner, so this is gonna have to wait until tomorrow. So I will be back and put this thing together and show you what the final product looks like.
Hello, I'm back. It's the next day. I have everything ready to go, so again, I have all of my little flags. I've got my bias tape ready to go, so all that I really need to do at this point is put everything together, stitch along the bias tape to hold all of the flags in place, and then I need to just make loops at the end so that I can hang it over the curtain rod. So I'm gonna just put everything together, stitch it up, and then I'll show you the finished product.
So I'm gonna start by just finding the center point of my bias tape, just so that I have everything on here evenly. I have 10 flags, so I need to do 5 on either side. And because I have 2 of each design, that means I'm gonna have 1 of each design on either side. I have 3 patterns that have kind of a greenish background and 2 that have the dark blue, so I'm gonna alternate green and blue. I'm gonna have 2 green ones in the center. I'm not gonna repeat the order that I have them in, so I'm gonna do it sort of randomly, just so it doesn't look too planned out. So I'll just finish getting these all clipped together and then I'll meet you back at the sewing machine.
Okay, so flags are now all attached. It's looking good. And I've measured out how much bias tape I need to go around the finials on the curtain rod, just so that there's enough room for it to slip over. So I've marked that out and I'm basically just gonna loop this over, do a little stitch to attach, and then we're completely done and I can hang it up.
Okay, so just to give you a quick little peek at what I did here, I just did a couple of rows of straight stitch, if that will focus. No. Oh, there we go. So I just went over a few times at the top and bottom, just to give it a little strength. Okay, so I'm gonna get this hung up.
So there it is. Very quick and easy project, and I'm really happy with the result. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And if you'd like to see more from me, there's a couple of other videos here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.